Today we're going to be talking about how having a work husband or work wife could be destroying your marriage. Thanks for coming back to the Marriage Puzzle Podcast. We are Thomas.
I'm Julie.
And we are so excited to have you here today, and we'd love for you to check us out on all the different social media channels. Follow us on the podcast so you can get new updates because you're here for a reason. You're here to get some type of advice about marriage, and we hope to be able to continuously give that to you. So make sure you follow the podcast, follow us on all social media at Marriage Puzzle, and we're going to be talking today about a story that I had at my work.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting topic. What a way to kick off our 100th episode.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Celebration.
I forgot to mention that. But yeah, very, very exciting. 100 episodes. It's taken us a few years, a couple of breaks, on and off the podcast to get to it, but it's exciting.
Actually, today I saw it pop up in my memory. We launched marriagepuzzle.com 5 years ago.
Wow. Today.
I thought that was kind of fun to full circle be like, well, we weren't recording exactly 5 years ago. We launched the website first, and we were getting certified as marriage coaches and all that, and now 5 years later, we have 100 episodes. So hopefully it'll go more quickly. Now we can do weekly episodes, but still worth celebrating our 100th episode.
Yeah, and if you're watching this episode on video, you can see that we matched in our outfits. We're both wearing black, so it's like a black tie event. So.
I don't know. Does that happen to couples? Like you're getting ready for work, or you come out, and you're like, why are you wearing green? I'm wearing green. I had it on first. Well, yeah, as if you were not allowed to match. But
we've done it multiple times.
It's
funny. It's funny. So, and this time you got dressed first. I saw what you were wearing.
You still chose
and I just
black.
Still chose
Good.
to wear it. So,
Good.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Tell us your story.
So this is an interesting story, and I'm gonna use different names. We're gonna talk about this story of Jack and Diane. So you may know the song that I felt like that worked pretty well. So basically, the story goes like this. There were two people that I was working with, and I noticed that they were just having a lot of friendly chit chat. Like they kind of just struck up conversation. Seemed like no big deal, and it was just cordial. Like I shared a cubicle with one of them. The other one was right next door. It was totally fine, and I could hear, you're in close quarters. You can kind of hear the conversations happening, and they shared some commonalities and things like that. Jack was not married. Diane was, and is, as far as I still know. I know, I just, let's not, no spoilers, but I don't think that, anything changed. But basically, as, time went on, they just continued to chit-chat, and he was relatively new to our company, so he was getting to know everyone. Nice guy, totally fine. I didn't see anything wrong. She had been with us for a few months, but she was getting ready to leave to go start a new position at another company. So they were kind of crossing paths for a short period of time. And basically, what had happened is she went home sick from work one day, and then the next day, from what I heard, was he sent a message to her, something to the effect of, hope you're feeling better, something like that. Mm-hmm. Just, relatively...
Which could be innocent.
Innocent, yeah. Just nice guy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I got a message from him like that. Just like, hey, just a genuinely caring person. And then shortly after that, I don't know how soon after that, she came back in, talked to him, and gave him a note from her husband that was, written down on a piece of paper that I never saw it, right. But, hearsay says something like, stop talking to my wife, or don't send her messages, or anything like that. And which is,
like, back off, buddy.
Yeah, kind of like back off, but kind of also interesting, because you do work together. You may have to communicate, especially if you work remote from time to time. Like things.
Maybe there was more.
There may have been more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know all of those details. Maybe there was. Maybe there wasn't. But for the sake of this story, that's all that it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that was just kind of where like I heard it end, but it kind of just brought this thought process up for me of this must happen or could happen very easily and frequently. In fact, there's the whole we talked about at the top, the work husband or work wife, just that phrase alone.
Heard that.
I've heard people say that.
Mm-hmm. I've had somebody be introduced to me as like, this is my work wife, and it was a female introducing another female, and I think that tongue in cheek is like, I spend so much time. This is my work buddy. This is my partner. But where does the line get crossed of that like joke kind of like, yeah, you do spend a lot of time, maybe more time than your husband or wife, but where does it become like, I'm making this joke, but then so it's okay.
Right.
Like, I have this family at home, and then I have this person at work for me.
And let me just say, from my perspective, that would be one of the most offensive things to me if like you said that. Like we went to a Christmas party and you said that
this
like
is my work husband.
or like that would be one of the most. I would be fuming.
Yeah,
like,
it wouldn't be
because it's just I get what you're saying, like tongue in cheek, like yes, but the term husband and wife is created for one person. And so that's why I would be so frustrated. I've said this before about like my kids. There are 4 people in this world who have been given the right to call me dad. Mm-hmm. There's one person who's been given the right to call me their husband. And so, I hold that very near and dear. And so I think that I get that it's tongue in cheek, but I think that married couples specifically have to really be aware of this situation. Yeah,
so we're going to give you the what, why, and how to not destroy your marriage around this topic. So
we try to do that every week, by the way, around multiple topics, but this one specifically
the
today.
What, why, and how to destroy, not
to destroy.
Not destroy your marriage. My goodness, this blooper reel. So I think the what is, it just feels innocent, like you're saying, the loose tongue-in-cheek work wife, work husband, it just usually starts with innocence. But most emotional affairs don't begin with the bad intentions. Like, no one wakes up and says, I'm going to destroy my marriage at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning, at work. Like, I don't think anyone goes into work planning on destroying their marriage. It begins with comfort, familiarity with that person, small emotional connections along the way. And those little emotional connections can turn into what could start as an emotional affair can turn into a physical affair, and even emotional affairs just as bad, because 85% of affairs start at work.
Yeah, and there's probably even a percentage of these that never turn physical, but it creates a division in your marriage at home. And I think, because, the why around this is that the workplace creates and almost sometimes can force emotional vulnerability.
Kind of breeds it.
Right. Because, you're stuck in a room together or in an office together or whatever your work situation is. You're going to be mad at your boss with this person. You're going to be mad at the project that you have to do. You're going to be celebrating wins and accomplishments.
Positive or negative, you have easy connections.
Yeah. you're on the same page about things. And once you get those sharings out of the way for the positive or the negative, you're celebrating accomplishment, that celebration may not continue as strongly at home because you've already done it once. And so
you might not even remember to tell your spouse. You could have a big work win and you're like high-fiving, hugging, whatever, like your coworkers, and you come home and they're like, how was your day? It was good. Like, you just like totally not intended but just forgot.
Yeah, like let's blow this out of the water with a really big example.
Okay.
So, really big analogy. You're in mission control at SpaceX. You launch a rocket. You're high-fiving the people. Everything's exciting. And, you get home and your wife's like, how was work? Oh, yeah, it was good.
Same old.
Same old.
Just another day at the office.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, right? That's obviously a big blown out of the water example, but I think that kind of
relatable.
I think and there's probably people that do that, and so I think that tends to happen because you're spending so much time with these people at work. 40 plus hours a week, and that's quite possibly more than the time that you're spending with your spouse.
Yeah, especially
at least
with
awake.
Different shifts too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good point. If you work an opposite shift from your spouse, I mean, I can't imagine how difficult something like this could be on someone who works overnight shifts or different days on and off. With your schedule always changing, that's got to be extremely challenging to work through. But you're going to be sharing stress, jokes, frustrations, things like that with these people at work, and each one of those builds a little bit more of that emotional connection, and you can feel successful and affirmed. When affirmed is a great word in this. Successful, I can get behind, like you have that big accomplishment, but affirmed is I think the bigger emotion that you can feel that can build that emotional connection with someone.
Especially if your words of affirmation and you're getting the words of affirmation at work, that's what I would define like success. You feel successful because there's people, coworkers, clients, whatever, just affirming you. That's gonna feed that connection, and you crave it, you want more, so you're gonna go back to that person, and they're giving you stuff, and if you're not getting that at home, before you know it, you just accidentally stepped into that emotional, I wouldn't call it affair yet, but that I'm trying to build those small little connections that if you're not careful, you can cross the line.
Let's pause there for a second. I mean, you brought up words of affirmation. Let's run through the 5 love languages real quick, off the cuff.
This is your
Let's
favorite
see if
thing
we can
to
remember
do.
them.
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot. Well, words of affirmation. I got one.
Physical touch, receiving gifts.
Yeah. Acts of service.
Quality time.
And quality time.
All right, so...
High five.
High five, yeah. So, physical touch. So, that's a good example. So, I mean... Words of affirmation is a really great example in this. In most scenarios at work, that's going to be the thing that is exchanged emotionally, words. Oftentimes, you're probably not exchanging gifts. If you do get close to someone, that could start coming in, like, hey, I, got you this snack out of the snack room, That's a gift. Like, you were thinking about that person. And it can be something so simple like that. Physical touch. High-fiving, is innocent enough, but someone who is a physical touch love language that receives physical touch in that way, or receives their love language in the way of physical touch, is that high five is going to mean a lot to them.
Yeah.
And so, it's really tricky to navigate with, those different personality types and how people receive love. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there because words of affirmation is a really good point in this scenario, but if you're not familiar with the 5 love languages, go read that book. Get used to it, learn about it, because if you don't know your spouse's love language and they are getting fulfilled in that way at work, that's a big problem. Yeah. So you need to get on the same page about that first.
And we have the 5 love languages book linked on our website. So, like I said earlier, marriagepuzzle.com.
/books.
I wasn't planning on mentioning that, but there you go.
Yeah, so
it's there for you.
I think that to kind of continue on with this, if your coworker knows your heart better than your spouse, that's a big problem. If they know your heart better than your spouse, then this has grown beyond a little more innocence, a little more of that just, hey, we connected over certain things. If they know your heart better, that's a whole different issue. Because, again, oftentimes emotional can lead into physical, even though physical doesn't always happen from this situation. It can definitely get there. So how do we prevent work wife relationships?
Well, we believe a fair prevention starts long before temptation. So we've tried to put those safeguards in our own relationship, but it's still happening around us. We work in different places and we each have stories. And so I think, just to jot down a few, number one reason we might do a whole episode on this topic is talk positively about your spouse.
Yeah.
Again, I'll try to hold back for another day, another episode, but talking positively about your spouse. One, it lets the people know around you that you are married.
Yeah.
You're happily married. You're reminding yourself your spouse is good. And it's just a game changer.
Yeah.
So talk positively about your spouse. Don't vent deeply to coworkers. Like you said, it's easy because you find that commonality, not to throw bosses under the bus, but because maybe you are the boss, but just to be like, oh, let's talk about this one person, up, down, sideways, organizationally, whatever. You are like kind of confiding in them, and then before you feel like I'm just venting, and that can be a slippery slope too. Because
are you talking venting like about work stuff or about home stuff? Both, I guess.
I guess, yeah, both. I would say I talked about the workplace. Just be careful. Like, I'm constantly like, I'm a person that I don't want to gossip. I don't like being around that. But I can see, like, if I go into someone of the opposite sex, and I just start like opening up, it might start with talking about a coworker, a boss. But you're right. If I go and be like, my husband didn't do this and this and this, like, that guy's ears are perking up and leaning in. So that opens a door for the devil.
Yeah.
So both. But
okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, like, if the prevention starts before temptation, even about work people. So don't vent deeply to coworkers. Avoid private emotional conversations. Maybe I thought that one was more of the personal.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Include your spouse socially. Again, when you say different shifts, maybe this isn't always practical, but when you can, go to their work outings, like a Christmas party. Put that on the calendar and make it a priority. Yeah. You can totally be like, I don't know, I don't like the people you work with, or I don't want to go, or you're fine. Like, that's what you do. And that's like, you might be secure in your marriage, but like, show up for your spouse and show them who you're married to.
I'm chomping at the bit to get after this one. That's a date night.
Yeah.
That's a date night that's usually, in most cases, paid for by your employer. Go and forget about all the other people that you don't like. Just go and enjoy the time with your spouse. At least, you got one person there you like to talk to. assuming you like to talk to your spouse at this point.
Well,
I mean,
hope.
if you're in a situation where that's a problem in your marriage, you got to work on that first.
Yeah.
And maybe going on the date night is the encouragement to help get there. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it's a step in the right direction. And so, go to the work events with your spouse. Take the time off work.
There's so many work scenarios, so we don't know every situation. But even if there's a travel opportunity, again, like tack on a day before or after and go with your spouse. But just stay included with your spouse socially in work environments as much as you can. And then maintain connection at home. So that's what you're saying, if you're. That's a whole nother episode too, but when your spouse asks how your day was, don't just say good. So try to remember that you launched a rocket or whatever. Open up and talk about, that's for, like, I heard this work story that you shared because you were like, this is crazy. Like, but you weren't sharing it, around other coworkers. You wanted to come and tell me about your day and keep that connection at home.
Yeah, I do want to say something about that one. Keeping that connection at home, telling them about your day. You said don't just say your day was good. I think that's key, but I think there's also the other end of the spectrum from that you can overtell and bore them if your spouse is a rocket scientist sending rockets up into space.
Even your space analogies.
Hey, it's just a good one. What can I say? If you're a rocket scientist, you're sending rockets up into space, and your spouse is not a rocket scientist, you may not want to tell them about all the formulas that you had to do to make that rocket go up. But you can tell them about the big events of it. I think that's totally fine. So just keep it where they will not disengage from the conversation. So, make it interesting for them too.
Intentional connection, transparent communication.
Yep.
Because strong marriages are built through daily protection. So if that's the what and the why and how to prevent having a work wife or husband, how would you approach it if these coworkers that you shared a story with, what if they came to us for marriage coaching? What advice would you give them?
That's a really good question. I think for Jack, I would say, first you need to get married before I give you marriage coaching.
Okay.
But in this situation, Jack being single, I think that I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because probably not too many single people are going to be listening here. This is marriage podcast. But I think basically Jack just needs to kind of back off a little bit. Like, you're single, this person's married, like, just stand down a little bit. Like, it's okay to have commonalities, chit chat, like that, all that stuff is fine, but just make sure that you're being respectful of that and not taking it too far and not potentially causing an issue in this person's marriage. So just, that's all I'll say about Jack. From Diane's perspective, though, try not to entertain excess communication with this person or attention from this person. I think if it feels like it's getting excessive, it's probably getting excessive. And your gauge for excessiveness can be wherever, is appropriate for your marriage. There's no specific gauge on that. I don't think we are the type that would say, no, don't go to work and never talk to anybody of the opposite sex. Like, that's just not realistic. Like, if you have to go to work, you have to be realistic about what the situation is. But if there is some excess unwanted attention or conversation, then you got to figure out ways to get through that. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So basically the Bible tells us that, like, the heart is like the most evil thing in us because it will take us off course. So you have to essentially guard yourself from your heart so that you don't follow it towards the wrong things. And I think that's a situation that can be really tricky. So you have to really go every day. Like, are you ready for another analogy here? So
okay.
basically,
buckle up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm ready.
Good one. For this one, we're going back to the medieval times. Like you're.
These are not in our notes. So I'm like, where are you going?
You every day are leaving your castle.
Okay.
And you have to go to work, and you have to, if the concept is to, guard from your heart, like, you have to protect yourself from other people. Call them dragons.
Okay.
You got to protect yourself.
You're adorable, by the way.
Aw.
Okay.
So you're leaving your castle, you're going out to slay dragons, and most importantly, you are returning home to your spouse. You're coming back home. That's if you didn't care about your spouse, why you come back home? Like, if you're gonna have this work husband or work wife relationship, like, do you need the wife at home? Like, I'm not don't hear the wrong thing here, because I'm not saying that you should exit your relationship or anything like that, your marriage. What I'm saying is, like, if you're gonna still come home every day, that's where your roots are. You don't need to be, you're not going and slaying the dragons and going to someone else's castle. Like, that's not the whole point here. You're coming back, you're returning back home to your spouse. So you have to guard your heart. You have to go out there. You have to protect your house and your marriage every day and come back home to it. And if you want it to be a good place, you have to protect it while you're gone.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Wow. Good job. We should go off notes more often.
Yeah.
You want to close this out?
That actually was in the notes. I wrote that in the notes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't scroll down.
Yeah.
This is really good. You could have just gone with it and gotten all that credit.
No, I freestyled a little bit,
it.
but I had the concept in the
You're
notes.
adorable and have integrity.
So if you find yourself in this position from the employee perspective, though, then I think you have to try to cut it off as soon as possible. If you go to work and you say, wow, you know what? I feel like I'm getting too close to this person. You've got to, you've realized it, now you got to stop it.
Yeah.
And
maybe Diane asked her husband to write the note. Maybe she totally opened up. We don't know.
I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know. But if you're realizing that, you have to be the one to stop it. You have to go ahead and put the brakes on, because the coworker probably isn't, because they probably just are continuing on with this relationship they have at work. And so if you feel that way, you have to be able to put a stop to it. And just a few practical things. If you work the same shift as your spouse, and you can go eat lunch in your car and give them a call while you're eating lunch, and you can time your lunch breaks up, that's great. I think that's a very practical thing, because you're gone from your spouse for this 8-hour plus, depending on what your job is, shift during the day. And to go 8 hours without talking to them, that's going to leave gaps. That's going to leave open space for other people to fill that gap. So that's something as simple as that.
It's something we've started doing,
yeah.
And I love it. It doesn't happen every single day because of meetings and stuff, but I'll get that text like, are you taking a lunch break?
Yeah.
We try to coordinate that to just, even if it's 10 minutes, just to have that, hey, how's your day going so far?
Yeah.
So you can remember.
Exactly.
Before you get home.
5 seconds till launch. Gotta go. But I think that and, just doing your work instead of having these conversations is probably a great idea.
Very productive.
I mean, just kind of saying like, hey, no, I gotta really focus on this. Like, kind of just slowly putting kind of those roadblocks up. I know nobody wants to go and just hurt someone's feelings, but if you notice that, you can start slowly kind of putting those, putting that wall up and saying, hey, like, no, I really just got to focus on this. Sorry. Like, no offense, I just got to get to work here. Headphones in, get to work, do your thing. And don't, as much as possible, don't communicate with them outside of work hours. If you start to notice that this is an issue, then you're going to have to cut off like, you got to leave it at work.
Yeah.
You got to leave that person at work. You can't, I know that's not always 100% possible, but whenever possible, sign off, like, just avoid it. Don't bring that person home into your marriage. That creates an even bigger issue.
Yes.
Again, not 100% possible all the time. Sometimes you still have to communicate with people. I get that. But just do it appropriately and sparingly.
Yeah, well, is it a want or necessity? It could be a desire. You don't even know that you're doing it because you're just used to. And that person's, you're off the clock and you don't owe them that conversation because you're home with your family. But it can become that habit because you let it happen once because it was just a work thing, you know? And then the next night and then the next night and yeah.
If you're texting your coworker from your bed, you got a problem.
Yes. Mic drop.
True or not true? Yeah, it's true. Yeah. On multiple, that's a whole different episode.
I know.
But
I keep thinking of more, like when we were talking about our lunch break, like don't go to lunch with your coworker. I think that's kind of like a common.
If you find yourself in this scenario, then yes.
Because that's kind of like, that's our whole dating story. Because I was like, we work together, and what?
Just the way you set that up is interesting, but
we were not married, and so you didn't become my work husband when I had another husband. When we were dating, we worked together.
Yes.
But, like, before we were dating, actually, that's my point. We both needed to eat lunch at the same time, so it was kind of like, oh, you're going here, I'll go there, and we're eating lunch together. No different as if we would eat lunch together at work.
An emotional connection developed, and now we're married.
Yes.
And so I'm just kind of emphasizing your point here that what you're saying is absolutely right.
It was innocent.
If you're going to lunch with your coworker, I'm not even going to give them the benefit of saying with your work husband or work spouse. If you're going to lunch with a coworker, that's not a group setting, that's not a business meeting, that's just like, hey, I'm going to lunch, you going to lunch, and if it's just you and that one person, you've just gone on a date with that person, and you have to plan and figure out how to have date nights with your spouse, but you're freely going on dates
at lunch
with this person at
he did
work.
Air quotes for the
like if you're quote unquote going on dates with this person, maybe unintentional, but it's hard for you to fit dates in with your spouse at home. Big red flag, big problem. Figure that out and fix it right away.
Yeah,
it should be 100% the opposite.
But again, that's a whole nother episode. So where were you with your
back on track. If you find yourself in this position from the spouse's perspective, I'm going to say the spouse at home right now. Doesn't mean it always happens with a stay-at-home spouse, but the spouse who's away from this situation. If you're working elsewhere, like whatever, just you get my point. Then you're gonna have to find a way to tactfully communicate this to your spouse, because this is a touchy subject. This can very quickly raise defenses and walls, and communication can get really sideways really fast. So you have to be very tactful in this situation. The number one piece of advice I can give you is to use I statements, talking about yourself, so that it doesn't come off accusatory towards your spouse. Because if you don't have the facts, if you've never specifically caught them in the act of cheating, then you can't accuse them of anything, and you shouldn't.
That's not fair. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that if you basically here's an example of an I statement that you could use. I wrote this in the notes, so I'm going to read it word for word just to try and help you out, but make it your own based on your own situation. So you could say something to the effect of, I feel like I see a closeness developing between you and your coworker based on how much you tell me about them or how much you communicate with them outside of work. And I want to protect our marriage. I'm not accusing you of doing anything wrong. I just don't want to see anything or anyone come between us. So can we work together to protect that? And I think that does two things. One, it puts it all on you. It says, I am insecure in this situation. because I've seen these things. I don't know if it's leading to anything. I really don't know. I'm not trying to accuse you, but I am trying to make this an issue about me, and I want ultimately to protect what we have. So can you come alongside me and let's work through this together? That invites them to come alongside you. And I think that's not necessarily going to be a perfect statement for every situation, but it gives you an example to try and utilize that to help get this communication ball rolling if you are the spouse that finds yourself in this situation feeling like, you know, your spouse has a coworker that has maybe some ill intentions.
Because I'm thinking now what the responses could be, you know. If it's not, I hope that other side of the story is I am not, but I'm so sorry that you feel that way. What can I do differently? Saying I statements, what, you know, yes, let's work on, you know, our marriage, but I want you to feel secure in that and safe and that you can trust me. So, you know, maybe it is that texting after, oh, okay, you're right. Like, that was a blind spot. Thank you. And I stopped that in, you know, back and forth. Or if it is like, yes, you're right. I do feel, you know, it's not like I'm going to walk out the door right now and go be with that other person. It's, like I said, if Diane maybe even went home and did ask for help, it's like, yeah, you're right. I feel myself, I let it, you know, get too close, and I don't want that. So how can we work together to help me, you know, have boundaries or a job change or what? Because we're going to fight for a marriage. So just like two different extreme responses to have a common conclusion.
Yeah, and I don't mean to correct you, but there was one thing that you said that I just want to point out. You in your statement of the spouse apologizing, you said, "I'm sorry you feel that way," and I know you didn't mean it like that, but that can be framed as a very baseless apology. So I think what you probably meant to say was, "I'm sorry I made you feel that way," or "if I made you feel that way."
Yes.
But if you say, "I'm sorry you feel that way," just get ready for sparks to fly, because I think that's, you know, just saying like you're still the problem. Like, yeah, that's obviously
absolutely. But I'm sorry I made you feel that way, because it still takes responsibility. But if somebody's like, I have nothing to apologize for, I didn't do that. Like, why are you? You know, that's where if you're like your walls go up. Why are you accusing me? I'm not gonna say sorry because I didn't do anything wrong. But
I'll give you a fake sorry.
No, no.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
No, wasn't putting back on them. It was like I am sorry I made you feel that way. Can you give me more examples so I can change and work on that?
I knew what you meant. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out, because if someone's never been in that situation or never heard that or never said
Julie
that.
said this.
Right. I don't want I don't
good.
want anyone to get in a situation where you're giving a, you know, false apology when you're trying to give a genuine one.
Right.
So just make sure.
That's what I meant.
Choose your words carefully. Communicate tactfully. So bottom line, don't have a work wife or work husband unless you literally work with your wife or your husband. That's it.
Good point.
That's it. That's the only exception. But thanks for coming again. This has been fun. If you are not yet subscribed, like we told you to do at the beginning of the podcast, you should be now, because this was a good one. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you are. But check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Follow us at all of them, and make sure you share this with someone. That's key. Did you have something?
I was just saying at Marriage Puzzle.
Oh, yeah. Follow us at Marriage Puzzle. Yeah. And make sure you share this with someone. That's going to help spread this out so that more people can see it and more people can get this advice and help for their marriages as well. And comment if you've had a situation like this. We'd love to hear about it, hear maybe how you handled it, what the outcome was, because your comment might be just as helpful to someone else as what we're providing in the actual episode. So if you have a story to share or something that helped you, please share it.
Yeah.
Please comment and let us know. We would love to to hear about that. So we look forward to seeing you back next week, where together we'll work on marriage one puzzle piece at a time.